Life doesn't move in straight lines. It twists, turns, and surprises us along the way. On Better Things Ahead, we talk with people who have walked those winding paths. Each story reminds us of the lessons, hope, and promise of better things ahead.
Week on Better Reminders, we are revisiting our podcast on empty nesting. We had two very special guests, Michael and Peggi Usher. They came on and talked to us a little bit about their experience of empty nesting. We hope that you enjoy this podcast. Y'all tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Well, I'm Peggy, and that's Michael. And we've been married for this summer, will be 34 years. We dated for 5 years before that. We are the rare high school sweethearts that got married and dated all the way through college. So,
Yep.
And I'm Michael.
Yep.
56. We've been at Ridgecrest since 92.
Okay.
Is that right? Since 1992.
Yep.
We have one adult son. He's 27 years old, married. So we have an adopted daughter as well. So Alex and Reagan, and so they've been living in Birmingham the last few years.
Yeah. So Alex, when he finished high school, he actually went off a good bit. He didn't stay in state. He went off to the University of Alabama, right?
He did.
So how was that? Like when y'all first stepped into our son has now moved away, but he's not moved away to a point to where it's like I can just get in the car and be at his house in an hour.
I'll go first. I think the transition for having, especially an only child, go that far away from home, which 3 hours is not that far in the wide scheme of life. Sure. But having a child that was so happy with where he was in college made the transition a lot easier. I think had he been calling home, homesick and coming home every weekend, to me, it would have made the transition harder if he came home a lot. But knowing that he was there and that he was happy there made the transition easier for me. Michael?
And so for me, I think part of the transition starts to occur before they actually leave, right?
Yeah.
I mean, as they are ending their high school years, they are, or at least I know Alex was, and I think most are, they're looking for their independence. You know, it's not like, okay, high school's over with, now they're looking for independence. They're transitioning into trying to figure out who they are and what they want to do, and they know they don't want mom and dad telling them every little thing.
Yep.
And as parents, a lot of times we're trying to still hang on to that, and they're still living with us, and so we've got this responsibility to try to keep them from doing too many dumb things, right?
Teenagers dumb things?
Yeah.
Yeah, that could have got
and trying to help, guide them and keep parenting them. And so I think that transition of going to empty nest really starts before they leave. For me, when he went off, I think I had a harder time than she did. He and I were pretty tight, and we still are.
Yeah.
And so the realization that he's gone, I think that hits when you after you come back home without him, right? I mean, taking them to wherever, if they're going off to college, if they're moving somewhere else, whatever they're doing. You're focused on getting them to wherever it is they're going physically and getting them settled, and then you come home, and then the next few days you kind of realize, well, the house is a little bit more quiet. That person that you've had in your house for 18 or so years or 20 or whatever it is not there anymore. And so for me, that was a little harder because the realization was, not only is he not here now, this whole world changed. He's not coming back home other than maybe, Christmas holidays, in between semesters, maybe a visit here or there, but it's not going to be the same again. And so that realization kind of hits you, I think. It did me. And so that was a little kind of hard because you're like, oh, yeah, things changed.
Yeah. So we just sent Jackson off to college, and he's been there now for, I guess, about 8 months. And my experience has been a kind of a mixture of y'all's two experiences. So one is that he is really happy where he is. He's enjoyed he's playing college baseball, and that that has given him a group of people to be really close with immediately. That made a big difference. He enjoys being around those guys, and they spend a ton of time together, of course. And that has made it much easier for me. I was worried about the same sorts of things. Like, I would have been way more worried about him had he been calling me on a regular basis and saying, I don't know if I can do this. I'm ready to come home. Yeah. I mean, he loves his breaks. He enjoys getting back to Madison when he can get back to Madison. But, like, I don't see him constantly saying, I'm ready to come home. And that has helped me. But I also had a really hard time with it. We had gotten closer as he neared the end of high school. He did want that independence, but he also had reached out to me a little bit more frequently and been like, let's talk about this. Or can you throw me BP over at Freedom Ridge or whatever. And so we started doing that kind of stuff a little bit more frequently, and then all of a sudden he was gone. Yeah. And that was just a weird experience. And emotionally, I don't know, I had a hard time with it at times. I don't know why I struggled with it the way I did at times. When he came home for Christmas break this past time, he was home for about 3 or 4 weeks, and the day he left, I knew he was going to leave. The day he left, he packed up his stuff. He got in the truck. He drove off, and I went back in the house and cried because I was like, I should be used to this. Like, this should be normal. Yeah. But for some reason, I had a hard time with that.
I think that first year, that's the experience that you get is, because they come home. Alex didn't come home a lot, but when he did, you got that noise again. He's upstairs. You kind of, okay, my person's there, my kid's there. And then it goes back to what is now new normal, and it's quiet again. And, they're not there. But I think, though, for me, it took me about 2 weeks or so.
Yeah, Peggy, what was that like?
Well, I don't want to sound ugly. I hope I don't get in trouble for this when I get home. I noticed that we moved Alex on a Saturday, and when we got home, I don't even think it was Saturday night when we got home. It was probably more like the wee hours Sunday morning. And so you're really too tired that day for it to hit you. Sure. And I'm pretty sure that Sunday morning we got on up, we came to church just like normal. And that Sunday night, Michael's not a person that goes to bed at 8:30. And I was on the couch reading, and he said, I'm going on to bed. And I thought that was a little odd. And I don't want to tell too much about it, but I actually think I think it's a good trait when a man admits he cries. Yeah. And I heard him I could hear him in there sniffling, and I knew he didn't have a cold. Yeah. And I thought, well, I'm just going to let him have his time. And that went on for about 3 nights. And finally, the third night, and Michael can go into a little more detail about this if he wants to, but he also, there were a lot of changes in our life at the time. Michael had retired and had been retired about 8 months by that time. And of course, I had quit working at the high school in 2015, so I'd been back at home for about 2.5 years. And I just went to Michael after about 3 nights of it, and I was like, okay, it's time for some tough love. And I said, you either need to go back to work or get really good at golf because I'm not going to sit around here and watch you trip on your lip for the next 4 years. Yeah. And he got up and he went to the golf course, and he hadn't been home much since. But I did tell Michael, I said, Michael, I know that neither one of us put pressure on Alex to go to Alabama, which Michael is a proud alumni of Alabama. Actually, we kind of wanted Alex to visit more schools than he did visit. But he did end up at Alabama. And I told Michael, I said, he is at the college of his dreams, and we need to be happy for him. Alex was a child. He is a little bit older for his grade because of having a fall birthday, and I think he was ready for college sooner than he graduated from high school. So I knew he was going to love Alabama. Yep. But yeah, he found himself a hobby and got good.
I barely remember any of that. Yeah. So I guess that's a good thing. I don't really remember too much of what she just described. Right. So I guess, time's passed. But what I do remember is after I say a couple weeks, after whatever period of time that there's a grief process,
Sure.
I think, from separation. Yeah, and we only had the one, so we didn't have younger children still with us. It was one day we have a child at home, and the next day we're empty nesters. So our transition was quick.
Yeah.
But I do remember having a point in time where I just it hit me. I was like, I don't have to be anywhere or do anything because we got a kid at home. Or my schedule is not based around his schedule anymore. It was all of a sudden, it was like, hey, if I want to go do whatever on a certain day, I could.
Yeah.
And so you get a reality, I think, after a little bit of, okay, this is a new world. It's a new season. But that means that's new opportunities, I guess, is the way I would look at it.
Yeah. Okay, so Julie and I, we do have three. We have, of course, Jackson's gone now. Lorelai is preparing to go, and then Micah's going to be a couple years behind her. But for all intents and purposes, next year we will get to practice empty nesting because Mike will have his driver's license, and he is by far and away our most social child. Kelly can attest to this. She spent time around him. Y'all have seen him and talked to him.
Yeah.
He's going to get in his car and go. Like, we won't see him as much as Lorelai's more of a homebody. I mean, she gets out and does stuff with her friends, but like, she's perfectly fine being home. What would y'all tell us to be prepared to do to get ready for the house is basically empty now. It's just us. What would you tell us to kind of prepare us for that?
You go first.
I think, what I've learned, of course, like she mentioned, I also had a big change in life as I was retiring at the same time. But I think it applies even if you're still working and but you're an empty nester. I think this applies in my mind. She's heard me say this multiple times, and I tell people, well, what do you do? They'll ask me, well, what do you do with your time now? And my response always is you need to find a hobby. You need to find something that you're going to do that you're going to enjoy. You
So
need
golf
to find
for you.
joy. For golf, it's for me, it's golf. Yes,
Yeah.
I play plenty of golf.
Yeah.
I think you need to, when you can, travel. Especially for us, as again in retirement, we have that opportunity to be able to travel when we want to, and so I think that's another piece of it. And then I think just as important is finding your purpose. And I think we all have our purposes at different points in life. For us with one child for 18 plus years, a large part of our purpose was you're raising this child. You're preparing this child to become an adult and be able to make decisions on their own and learn from both the good and the bad, and hopefully you pass along a little wisdom to them as they transition into adulthood. But then as that comes, it doesn't mean you're no longer mom and dad. You're always still mom and dad. And what we figured out in the last 9 years or something like that is they still need you. They just need you in different ways.
Yeah.
They still are looking for advice. They're still looking for a little bit of that wisdom passed along, because it's now the wisdom that they need is being an adult, or if they get married, being a husband, being a wife. And my guess is we're not there yet, but when they have kids of their own, they're still going to be looking for some advice. I know we did the same with our parents. But at every stage in life, you got a purpose. In empty nesting, I think God has a plan for us, and whatever that is, and it just changes, and we need to find what that purpose is.
Yeah.
So I know each of us have been able to do that.
Yeah. Peggy, what do you want to add to that?
I also just think an empty nest, people act like it's the end of the world, especially if you're both at home together. 24/7. But I have a saying about that. If you can't stand the thought of being in the same house with your spouse 24/7, you may have married the wrong spouse.
Yeah.
I love my time with Michael, and I'm not just saying this because this is an interview at church. The only thing that that I have noticed, I may be jumping ahead in questions. The only thing I have noticed with us being together so much is that now when Michael's gone, let's say for a golf trip or a ski trip, it makes me miss him that much more because we're together so much.
Yeah.
And we really do have a lot of fun together. Date nights every night. It might be tacos, might be hamburgers on the grill, but I do kind of feel like date night is every night.
Yeah.
So you just have to find fun things to do together.
Lots of George Strait concerts.
Lots of George Strait, lots of belly rubs for our other children, Honey and Biscuit, our basset hounds. So we really do have a good time together.
Yeah.
I think part of it too is figuring out what your identity is.
Yeah.
As you go through that change, as you change seasons.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times our identity is tied up in we're so and so's dad, so and so's mom, and you still are, but it's
different now.
it's different, and so I think you kind of have to figure out who you are, in this stage of life, and what you're going to be like, and what you're going to do with your time, and
Yeah.
so yeah.
So a follow-up question, one that just kind of came to my mind. I don't know that we've ever talked about this together, but one of the trends that we see in church life when Matt and I and Brian kind of look at attendance trends and that sort of thing, one of the things that we see a lot of times is that when parents become empty nesters, when their kids move out and go to college, get jobs, get married, have children, all that sort of thing, we see them at church less. You guys have stayed really connected to Ridgecrest. What is it? What is it that has made that easier for y'all? Is there something specific that you can point to that you're like, hey, we wanted to, because I think a lot of times what happens is parents get super involved in their kids' student ministries and stuff like that, and they maybe lose connection with other people, and then their kids out of student ministry, and they feel disconnected from the church. I'm not 100% sure. I'm just curious, what was y'all's experience like with that?
But we end up with the same answer.
That's an easy one for me. I hope it's the same reply Michael's going to give. Ridgecrest is our family.
Yeah.
We came here, him right out of college and had worked a year before we got married. And so I came here right out of college and got married, and we came to Ridgecrest. It's been our family, away from family, for 34 years almost.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to quit coming to, we have, our friend group it's more than just friends. We have done a lot of life together. And I'm not going to name couple names because I would forget somebody and
Sure.
feel terrible. But these are people that Michael and I want to grow old with.
Yeah.
Michael?
Yeah, same answer. The relationships that we have built over the years, is a major part of why we're at Ridgecrest and why we come every week and every week that we're around. Those relationships are important to us.
Yeah.
And that's God given. He put us here in 92, and he gave us these friendships that we've developed, and like she said, done life together. Have all been through ups and downs together. We're always there for each other. We enjoy each other's company. I think we would have never, I don't think it ever crossed our mind not to be at Ridgecrest.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So I want to transition from there to kind of thinking about, you kind of alluded to some of this, Michael, but from both of y'all's perspectives, what are some things that parents who are getting ready to parent adult children? So we're past 18, we're out of the house, we're either at a job, in the military, at college, whatever. what are some things that they should be prepared to start thinking about and doing for their adult children?
Yeah. I think, again, like I said before, you never stop being mom and dad,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And I think when you ask that question, I'm kind of thinking about our relationship with our son and now daughter through his marriage, and also for me, my relationship. My father's still living, so I think about it going both ways, right?
Yeah.
I know the question is about us being a parent, but you never stop being a parent and you never stop being a child as long as everybody's still around, right?
Yeah.
And I think what our children need from us and what we need from our parents just changes with the seasons, but that need is still there. And I think for what I've kind of learned in working with Alex is, instead of me trying to just tell him what to do, it's more about letting him come to me when he needs advice or he needs something. We talk just about every day, 4 or 5 days a week. He'll call me. Sometimes we're just talking. That's it. There's no fatherly input or anything involved. We're just having a conversation. And sometimes he'll start asking me questions. And I think that's been the key for our relationship, is letting him kind of dictate what is he needs from me, if anything, and listening more. Whereas when they're growing up, you're telling more, you're trying to instruct more, you're trying, guiding them more, as opposed to, hey, they're adults, they're starting to see changes in their own lives, they're entering new seasons, letting them ask questions, or at least for him, asking me questions or saying, hey, this happened, what do you think? And then I think about my relationship with my dad, and it's been similar. I think over the years, I have certainly asked him what he thinks about things, or I'll tell him something that happened, and I'm kind of waiting to see, hey, can you give me a little bit of advice here? So I think, I've learned that, I guess, from my dad and interacting with him, but that's what I see as kind of a difference as they move into adulthood.
Yeah. From a mom's perspective, what do you think?
I think the same thing. I do get a little jealous sometimes that Michael gets a call almost every day. I get a call when he wants a recipe, or he wants a recipe
you
for
really
his
can
wife.
Cook, Peggy. Your food is always so good. So
Well, thank you. I was just telling Michael today what I've been putting in their Easter basket. I said, I think I have to bake him some cookies for his Easter basket too. I don't
At
even
27. At 27.
And all the kids in the neighborhood.
The Cookie Monsters.
Yes.
I do have some Cookie Monsters. That's okay. They're going to take care of me when I'm an old lady.
That's
I'm
right.
convinced.
But I think I refer to Reagan as our daughter.
Love her.
Reagan calls and talks to Peggy.
Right.
What's that like?
It's like having a new best friend. I mean, if you want me to go into detail on that.
Yeah, please. That's fine.
I have a funny story to tell about that. I have a lot of funny stories, but
Yes, you do.
I do sometimes slip and I say he married the girl of my dreams. I mean, his dreams. I always correct myself. But Alex really didn't date in high school.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't. He had fun hanging out with his buddies, and but he didn't date, and went with friends to prom. But anyway, the Christmas of his sophomore year, I was in the kitchen making one of his favorite snack, goodies that I only make at Christmas because they take a lot of time. And I was rolling up Buckeye balls. He's standing across the island in the kitchen from me, and I can still picture this like it was yesterday. He said, "Mom, I've met a girl, and she's not just a friend, but she's not a girlfriend." I said, "Oh," and I'm rolling up that powdered sugar and peanut butter. Those were some tight ones I was rolling with gusto. And he said, "She's not just a friend, but she's not a girlfriend. And she reminds me a lot of you." And I was like, "Oh, no." How? But he told me some things. He said, "She loves dogs." I said, "Well, check." He said, she wants to be a stay-at-home mom one day. And I was just wondering how that came up in conversation. But that's fine with me. And he said she loves to clean. And I was thinking to myself, I don't love to clean. I like a clean house. But anyway, fast forward a couple of months later, and we were going over to Tuscaloosa, and Michael kept giving me this big speech before we went over there. Don't get attached. Do not get attached. This may not be the one. He's only a sophomore in college. We took him to lunch, and then we took Reagan back to where she was living that sophomore year. And after we, took Alex back to where he was living, got back in the vehicle to leave, and he looked at me. He went, "Oh, you're attached, aren't you?" It was like that emoji where the heart eyes.
Yep.
And, I've told this in front of Reagan, and if it embarrasses her, well, it shouldn't, because it's a compliment to her. When Alex was a little boy, if I had made a list of everything I ever wanted in a daughter, and I don't even say daughter-in-law, in a daughter-in-love, she would have gotten a check in every box. And the school teacher in me, I have to throw this in, she would have gotten bonus points.
Yeah.
She would have made 110 on that test.
She's getting an A++.
She would have gotten the high average award in my class. But yes, having a daughter-in-law that calls you just to talk, or to tell you, "Hey, I'm going to send you a picture of the dress I'm wearing to something this weekend," I take that as a huge compliment.
Sure.
And she really is. She's a part of our family. And I think especially only boy moms, we can get a bad reputation. For boy moms already, nobody, they never approve of a girl, and especially only boy moms. But I told somebody this weekend, I said, I'm glad he got a degree at Alabama, but most of all, I'm glad he got Reagan Grace Usher, because she is something else. One of his sweet groomsmen looked at me at the reception when she was singing at their own reception, and singing well. I knew she was a dance major. She could have been a voice major as well. And he went, "Of all the boys at Alabama that wanted to date her, how did Usher get her?" I said, "'Cause she Googled me." She looked me up on Facebook, and she said, "I want her as a mother-in-law." But Michael, I feel like I have a built-in best friend for the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's so great. I know that makes the next step in parenting so much better, so much easier in so many ways. I would think that, because that's obviously not everybody's experience when they start having in-laws. I'm fortunate. I've been very fortunate with my in-laws, and y'all know them. And but I know a lot of people don't have that same experience, and I'm glad that's y'all's experience. And I definitely think that is for those of us that are kind of working our way down the line in the parenting journey, that's a big prayer for a lot of us, is Lord, to help send our kids the right person. If they're going to be married, let them be married to the person that's going to love them and love our family well, and more than anything, love Jesus. So that's definitely a prayer of ours as we think about our kids getting older. Because you mentioned that about boy moms. I'm thinking about Lorelai and being her dad. Yeah. Like, the bar is going to be pretty high for whoever she brings home.
As it should be.
Needs to be.
So, yes.
It should be.
It absolutely should. Yeah. So, all right. So, I guess one last big question that I want to ask you guys is, if you were to go back in time and see your past selves, as Alex graduates high school, is there anything that you would tell yourself to prepare you to step into that journey, that next part of the journey, those next 9 years?
Yeah, that one's...
That's right. It's a big one.
That's a big one. That's a little tougher.
In college, you stay on your knees a lot as a parent in college, especially when they're at a big SEC school where there are a lot of distractions. Alabama's a great college, and he had a great time there, but there are a lot of distractions, so you just stay on your knees those 4 years, or how many ever years they're there. And I not only slept with my phone own for 4 years, I slept with it underneath my pillow. And looking back, you said if there's anything you could do different, maybe if I hadn't worried so much.
Yeah.
If Michael is the best in the world at telling me worrying's not going to change anything. So looking back, while I wouldn't change all the praying that I did, maybe if I hadn't consumed so much of my time worrying about the what ifs, and it could be, this could happen or that could happen, maybe turn it over to God. Just pray and have a spouse that tells you, calm down, calm down.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's funny. I did, all through his high school years, because she was an educator, she knew all of them. She stayed in tune with everything that he did from a school standpoint. She always knew what was going on, what his grades were like, and all that. When he went off to college, I did not allow her to have access to anything associated with his school. And I think I made you take the Find My Friends or whatever off the phone too. Like I disconnected her from him. And it wasn't that I wanted to have control of anything. It was just simply I knew her personality, I knew my personality. I didn't want her worrying about anything. And so I kind of ended up taking that on. So I think going back to your original question, for me, I would have to go back and remind myself, okay, exactly what I tell her. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't spend your time worrying. You can spend your time praying. You can spend your time, wanting good things for him, but not worry. Because I think I probably did take on a little bit of a worrying burden to make sure he's okay. And but I learned probably after that first year, I got more comfortable with it. That first year, somebody, I think, asked, I always gave this answer. Somebody would ask a question, how's the first year going or whatever, or at the end of it, how was that first year? And I said, well, it was great. We didn't get a call from the police, the hospital, or the school, I guess is what it was. Yeah, the three things. We didn't get a call from those three, so he made it through the year good. And then you start to get a little more comfortable. So I think if I could tell myself when he left, hey, this is going to be a good experience. He's going to enjoy his time there, and he's going to make it through and get his degree. And, you're not going to have all the what ifs that could go wrong. And if I could kind of tell myself that's not happening, then I might have felt a little better through that first year.
As one who's in the middle of that first year, I resonate with that. There's a part of me that's like, I've done much. I've tried really hard. We neither Julie nor I have access to his grades. We made that same decision. We were like, he's got to learn to make his own grades. We'll remind him to study. We'll remind him, hey, it's important that you make good grades because that gives you opportunities in the future. But it's on him to do that. And then the other part is like, I know he's hanging out with a bunch of baseball guys. I know where his Life 360 says he is. I don't need to call him or text him and say, where are you? What are you doing right now? That's not really what he needs from me right now.
Yeah, you really do. I mean, you've got to give him that. You got to trust that you've raised them.
That's right.
In the right way, that you've hopefully passed along some wisdom to them, and they're going to make more good decisions than bad decisions. And give them the freedom, because I mean they're adults, they're college age adults.
Yep.
They're still not going to make every decision great, but you got to let them kind of get through that. And same way with grades, you got to let them, see. I mean, there were some classes I know he struggled with and kind of had to figure out how to study, and be able to pull those grades up where he needed them to be. So, yeah.
Well, one last question. That'll be a fun one. What is your favorite part of empty nest life right now?
Not as much laundry.
Heck yeah. Oh, man. Julie Essence is going to be so glad to hear that. I mean, we share that burden, but she's the one who definitely takes on more of it.
You asked.
That's fair.
And being able to go to nice restaurants and not having to pay for Alex to eat. He's had expensive taste since he was 4. Michael used to say he must look for the most expensive fish on the menu and order it.
Yeah.
You asked the question I was on.
That's
That's
fair.
the
That's a good
first honest question that came to mind.
I think it's two things. I think one is you. I alluded to it earlier. You have a freedom. Not that you didn't like being able to do the things you did with your kids as they're growing up, but I mean that was just part of that time in life. But to know that you got the freedom to go, we went to lunch today together. You didn't always have that freedom before.
That's right.
To be able to go and do those things goes back to the hobby, the travel, the purpose, and having the freedom to be able to go do those things. I think is a big part. So.
Well, very good. Well, I've really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you all for coming in today.
Thank you for having us.
No problem. Thanks.
And I will tell you, our listeners, if you have questions about this next step of life, maybe you're getting close to that, or you have some young kids and you're kind of trying to plan ahead, and you have questions about that, and you're connected to our church, I'd encourage you to come find the ushers and talk to them. They would love to have a conversation with you. And we have others in our church that have gone through the same phase of life and would love to have a conversation with you too. If you're not connected with our church and maybe you're far off, shoot us an email. We would love to connect with you and give you some resources, help you find some things that maybe can help you along the way, because we really want that next step for you to be a better step than it was for us. And we've had good experiences. We want you to even have an even better experience.
Thanks for joining us on Better Things Ahead. Follow the show on Spotify and Apple Podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for the video of our podcast. Until next time, keep moving forward because there are always better things ahead.